Good morning, everybody. Hope you can hear me. I welcome you to the webinar, to our first webinar today regarding the Cyber Resilience Act requirements for selling electronic devices with digital elements in the European Union after the 11th December 2027. So I think we have 9 o'clock passed over, so we should start now. Yeah, again, I'm very happy that the webinar is very crowded with a lot of customers from Asia, from Europe this morning, but also suppliers and other kind of business partners are joining. So a very warm welcome to everybody of you. One hint at the beginning. So if you have any questions during the webinar, please use the question and answer area on top of your screen. There you can put the questions, and at the end of the webinar, we will go through all of the questions and answer them. So yeah, I will not do the webinar by myself. So I'm very proud to have excellent speakers with me. So from the organization TÜV Süd, I'm happy to welcome Stefan Würth today. From the security consultants company acue, I welcome Sergejs Rogovs, and from Infineon, I'm happy to welcome Preeti Khemani together with us today. So I will give you a very short introduction to the topic, and then I will hand over to TÜV, who will let us know a little bit about the different kind of certifications which are available and the penalties which could be with the penalties which could pop up if somebody is not respecting all the different rules. And after this, acue will also explain a little bit about the different rules and laws which are existing and how they match to each other. After this, Infineon will explain how a semiconductor supplier can support customers in doing the right things at their design. At the end of the webinar, I will give a short summary, the most important key takeaways. I will explain a little bit the role of a distributor and what a distributor needs to take care about. And also, we will do the, of course, question and answer session. And I will give you a short outlook what we are planning also in the future. Okay, the introduction to the topic. So there is a quote from the BSI. BSI is a German Federal Office for Information Security, and they describe the CRA as the first European regulation which is made to give us an increase regarding the cybersecurity of all products which are used in the European Union. So the law, the Cyber Resilience Act, is already in force since December last year. So it's already active and valid. And now we have 36 months time to really take care about all necessary steps. And at the latest, very latest, 11th December, everything should be done by all of us. When I talked with some colleagues in the last weeks, they asked me what is our motivation to talk about the Cyber Resilience Act. Of course, the big risk at the Cyber Resilience Act is that it could happen that our customers need to stop selling their components. So this is the worst case risk, and this means also that we cannot ship the components to our customers. So therefore, we are all hanging on the business, on the electronic business, especially in the European Union. So our motivation is to make clear that we have done our homework as well as the suppliers and the customers, that we can go on with the business also after the year 2027. So this is our motivation. The Cyber Resilience Act is a regulation and not a directive. And if it would be a directive, then the law needs to be transposed into national laws. And at the CRA, this is not necessary. So the Cyber Resilience Act is already in place, already active, and already valid for the complete world who would like to sell electronic devices after November 27. And some colleagues also asked me at the beginning, what is the difference of CSA and NIS2? Because both is targeting the cybersecurity, but it's important to understand that the CSA is attacking the products, and the NIS2 is attacking the service infrastructure and networks of different business sectors or critical sectors. So it has nothing to do with each other, but it will complement each other. Then, especially for the companies from Asia who are not so familiar with the European countries, I just want to mention that you have to understand there is a geographically Europe and there is a European Union. And the European Union, so the Cyber Resilience Act, is valid for the European Union, which is currently existing of 27 member states. So let's say the most business relevant countries are members of the European Union. But nevertheless, there are some countries like United Kingdom, Switzerland, and Norway, for example, which are not part of the European Union. So therefore, the Cyber Resilience Act is not valid. But nevertheless, also these countries will go with some solutions or with some rules which are very close to the Cyber Resilience Act. So our recommendation is to really respect the Cyber Resilience Act also for these countries which are not part of the European Union. Okay, so this is just as an introduction. Now I will hand over to Stefan Würth from TÜV Süd, and he will give us some more insights of this.
Okay. Thank you, Bernd, for the introduction. Hello, a warm welcome to everyone who still joined. Okay, today I will talk a little bit about the Cyber Resilience Act and the penalties for non-compliance. It's one of the most facts what's popping up with the new regulation nowadays, because before we have some regulations without penalties, and that should be the different, and that's the reason why we talk about. First of all, I will give you a small overview about the most important new upcoming regulations and the difference. On the left-hand side, we have the CRA, the Cyber Resilience Act. It's everything hard and software that is the requirements. That means nearly everything except consumer products and some other points what Bernd already mentioned before. Affects all manufacturers, distributors, and importers, and that is also important for the participants from Asia nowadays, because if you would like to sell something to the European Union, you have to fulfill also the CRA. Otherwise, the authorities can block your market access. That is the outcome. So that's the reason why you have to fulfill it. Here we have the deadlines. It's still in progress. The notification obligations. That means they're still popping. They're building up a portal where you can drop your messages about incidents and vulnerabilities. Full applicable December 27. That is the point. On the other hand, it's closed to the CRA. That means we have some stories about the product. That is radio equipment, the RD directive. It's still on the way. it's applicable from 1st of August 25. That means we have only 2 months, 2.5 months to get ready for that. That is with high pressure running on the market now. That affects every manufacturer who has devices with any radio equipment or radio interface, I should say. Here we see on the bottom regulations secured by design. That is the principle or the master principle of both regulations. So that means you have to take care about security from beginning onwards. That means not like before, at the end you fix your bugs. Here you have to design the security from beginning on. I put here in the NIS2. The NIS2 is a little bit different from all of these other ones. The first two, Cyber Resilience Act, RD, machine regulation, and the AI is more product or system related. NIS2 is operational. So that's what Bernd already mentioned. You have to fulfill the regulation for your operational environment. And the difference here, it's a big difference between the left-hand side. Left-hand side means product. They block the market, as said. We see later the fines, what's up there. NIS2 is, it's more the CEO is personally in charge of the following these NIS2 regulation. That is the big difference, and that you have to keep in mind. Machine regulation, for example, it's safety and security. Yes, we have the safety already in place. Now you have to see, you have to make a risk analysis about security. It's also for manufacturers, importers, and distributors. Don't care about your role. You have to fulfill it if you would like to have it, or you sell something in the European market. Applicable from January 27. That means a little bit earlier than the CIA. Here we see both regulations set similar requirements regarding the software integration and updates. So before it's you don't have to take care about the updates. If you have vulnerability, have machinery sent out and there's some vulnerabilities in, you don't have to provide updates. Now it's you are in charge as one of the roles. You are in charge to update also the software and kick out the bugs and the vulnerabilities. AI, that's the last one. That is is ongoing. And this time you see February 25, there was the first thought. They thought about the high-risk AI systems. That's what is still running now. And it's applicable from August 26. That means we have 14, 15 months when the AI Act is running. So that's just an overview for the different most important regulations and directives and everything what is going on now on the market or what's popping up in the near future. Today we want to talk a little bit about the reporting obligations, and there are different obligations. That means you have to report actively exploited vulnerabilities. That means 0 days and something when some bad guy exploited your product. You have to send out an early warning. That means less than under 24 hours after the exploit was when the vulnerability was exploited. That means you have to say, yes, I'm affected from whatever. Someone hacked my product and someone did bad things to my products, and that is the early warning. Then you have 72 hours to make the next notification about the vulnerability. That means you have to check what was happened in the vulnerability and give an first insight about the vulnerability, what happened, what is affected, And that is the point of the second notification. And then you have to provide a final report with the patch, at least patch day plus 14 days. That is the main basic. You have to report it to your authority, I would say. In this case, it's ENISA. We will see, I guess, that we get some more local authorities. For example, in Germany, it will be the BSI, the Bundesamt für Information Security. That will be one of these authorities who will follow up these notifications. If you have a server incident and that has an impact on the security of your product, it's nearly the same. You have to send out or you have to report to the authority an early warning notification, less than 24 hours. That means you should have someone who is able to react on these incoming vulnerabilities or notification from outside, wherever it is. If you have someone who is sending a mail or on the webpage something to you, that he can react and say, okay, I have 24 hours, I have to set up a warning to the BSI, ENISA, whatever. And that's the first step. Second, incident notification, you have to say, okay, we have an incident. The incident has the following effect, and you have to give the first insight about the incident, what was happened. The final report should be, hopefully you close the vulnerability in the time. The final report means less than 1 month. So the time frame is really tight. You have to have a good sorted team or a good setup with your team that you can react on these requirements from the regulation. But on the other hand, if you have one of these cases, you have to inform the user about from your product or from your system that there's active exploited vulnerability or a server incident that should be go out directly if you have notice. That is the reason here why I write down this timely manner. So if you send out the early warning, you also have to say, yes, there's something happened. Please check your product. Please check whatever your information on the our website, for example. If you do this, you are on the right page. If you don't do that, you can have some penalties, and the penalties are linked to articles in the CRA. That means here at Article 13 and 14, that is 50 million or 2.5% about the worldwide annual turnover. So that is a big amount, and that hurts really. Otherwise, if you have some violations of the following article, I don't read them all, you get the slides later on. You have to calculate that you get 10 million or 2% of the global turnover. So it's a little bit smaller. And the smallest one is the 5,000 if you're providing false or incomplete or misleading information. On top of this is the problem that the authority can block your market access. That's really important. So if you won't fulfill, and are you under the view of the authority, you have the problem they will block your market access, they will prove your products by their own, and then they say, okay, sorry, there's no way to sell anything to the market again. That should be the most important about the final penalties for CIA. And when you remember the first slide when I said, okay, we have CIA, RD is nearly the same story. You have to bring up the same notifications and the same reports, and you have nearly the same penalties. Machine regulation is not with penalties at this time, and the AI Act also. But you can expect that will come soon. So now let's go over to the difference. The big difference was when I told you NIS2. NIS2 is operational regulation. That's a little bit different. Of course, you have the infrastructure. That is your scope, let me say. Here it's written the manufacturer shall actively note the BSI. I put it for the German ones. If you sell something to the EU, you have to report, for example, BSI or whoever. At least you have to report to ENISA. The notification should come up when you have some significant operational disruption, final losses, material damages, and so on. It's nearly everything what you have, what can stop your production or what gives you the problem in your infrastructure. So your infrastructure will not secure anymore. You have the same first notification 24 hours. You have to say, yes, we are compromised. We have a security issue. That is the first outcome. Then you have a follow-up notification 72 hours. That means, yes, we have whatever, a ransomware attack, or we have some data loss, or whatever it is. You have to give the next information, whatever you know. Until this time, you have to send out or you make an update for the notification to the authority. At the end, you have to have a final report after a month. The graph here on the bottom, first notification, 24 hours. Then we have the follow-up notification, 72 hours. And then the final report on the month. If you're not finished with that, you have to say, okay, it's not the final one, it's a follow-up report, the notification, and then you have to enhance the time from the month, but there is not so many time in between. I heard something about another 4 weeks. I'm not sure about this, but this is something what you have to bring in. Then you have to contact here with if you do a follow-up notification, you have to get in touch with the authority and say, okay, we are not finished with the investigation. That's what we know at this time. We come up with the next report, or we keep you updated so far if we get something new from the incident. That is the point here. Keep in mind, it's the CEO personnel in charge, not like before there's a company in charge. Here's the CEO personnel in charge with his own money. That is important here. Penalties for non-conformity in NIS2. I put the source here, Article 18 and 20. So we have critical entities. That means more than 250 employees or 50 million turnover. This is one, or 33 million in balance sheet total. That is the size of the company. When you fit in, you can expect that you have fines up to 10 million or 2% of the global annual turnover. So it's also a big one. If we have non-critical, that is critical infrastructure, and if we have important organization, there's a difference a little bit. That means the size of the company should be greater than 250 employees. Same, more than 50 million turnover. That is the same. Then you have to think about these. The same here, you have to have 7 million. That is the same. Mid-size, that is the enterprise. The enterprise, whatever, that is these mid-size companies with 50 employees. 10 million is for a small company, big amount, and you have to take care that you don't fall up in this one. If you pop up once in the authority, you can expect that they come in and make regular checks in your company. That's this the second story of this. That is not really in that, but I talked just with some guys from the BSI, and they're thinking about a little bit like this, so that they make on a regular basis, if you pop up audits in your company, however. So that's from my side. Questions, I think we do later on, so far as I understand. And if you have some questions, please let me know by mail or you get in touch with the phone number. And I will thank you for the participation and hand it over to Sergej.
So, good morning, everyone. I am Sergejs Rogovs, and I have PhD in applied math, and I am chief cybersecurity engineer at acue. So I worked with some big companies as cybersecurity engineer, manager, and consultant. What are we going to talk about today? So first of all, I will say a couple of words about cybersecurity itself, why it's important for us, and why we need different cybersecurity directives and regulations. Then I give you a deeper look into new cybersecurity requirements, regulations, and existing standards, one of which is risk assessment. For this requirement, I'm going to spend some more time explaining it in detail, since it's, so to say, the cybersecurity basis. And of course, we will explore the new EU directives, regulations like NIS2, CRA, and the new machinery one. And most importantly, I'll give you actionable insights on how to implement these. So if Stefan told you more about the penalties, I'm going to tell you about how to avoid these penalties. But yeah, let's begin, and let's start with a dose of reality. So this slide shows us a dark picture that cyber attacks are not only increasing in frequency, as we know from the media, but also in cost. An average data breach cost has increased by 10% in just 1 year, as you can see from this chart. Why this is happening? So, well, we have more sophisticated attacks nowadays, like ransomware, supply chain, or zero-day attacks. And plus, we have like more expensive recovery efforts and potential fines, as Stefan already highlighted, and those are associated with non-compliance with regulations. And hence, we must foster robust cybersecurity within organizations and cross-sector coordination to protect vital services. So how do we actually combat this growing threat? So the EU has responded with the CRA, the new machinery regulation, the NIS2 directive, and the others. But today's scope is just these three guys. So what is NIS2? NIS2 is the Network and Information Security Directive, second edition. The purpose of this regulation is to ensure that critical industry sectors and essential services are resilient to cyber threats. These, for example, are power plants, hospitals, airports, and so on. So we will talk about these critical services later on in this talk. Second, CRA, or Cyber Resilient Act, whose purpose is to secure products with digital elements throughout their life cycle. So if NU is aimed on critical infrastructure, the CRA is more aimed at products, like, for example, ECUs in the car, medical devices, IoT devices, etc. And CRA requirements shall fulfill manufacturers, importers, distributors of products with digital elements in the EU. The third new regulation is the new machinery one. So in comparison to the old one, it now also contains security requirements, not only safety ones. And it affects manufacturers, importers, distributors, and representatives, official representatives of machinery. So Before we dive deep into regulations, let's clarify different cybersecurity sectors, what kind of technology they cover, and how do these regulations fit into this picture. So sector one is the IT security, where basically cybersecurity originates from. This type of cybersecurity deals with digital infrastructure like networks, data, enterprise IT services, etc. Second one is industrial cybersecurity. In comparison to the IT security, its goal is to protect operational technology. This is the hardware and software that directly controls and monitors physical processes and equipment in industrial settings. And the third cybersecurity sector is embedded devices. Those can be met, as I already said, so cars, IoT devices, medical, and so on. So how do new regulations fit into this picture? So IT cybersecurity is fully covered by NIS2. Industrial one is covered by NIS2 and the new machinery one, and the embedded world is covered by CRA and also by the new machinery regulation. So now one might be thinking that I'm already ISO 27001 certified. Am I covered? The answer is not necessarily. While existing standards like for example, 2700 series or IC 62443 are good starting point. They don't fully address the mandatory requirements of the new regulations. These regulations require a more proactive approach, but still, if you have already certified with one of the existing standards, you have a good foundation. For the IT industry, of course, we have, as already mentioned, 2700 series, which is the foundation of risk assessment and information security management. For the industrial one, we have the harmonized standard 62443, which provides guidelines for risk assessment, secure design, supply chain security, and so on. And the last but not the least, the embedded. For embedded, we don't have a general standard, but rather a bunch of specific ones. For example, for automotive, we have ISO SAE 21434, for IoT devices ETSI EN 303, and yeah, basically, these standards lay the foundation for assessment, security design, vulnerability management, and other. Before we dive deep into requirements of new regulations, let me first speak about risk assessment, because, as I already mentioned, this is the foundation of cybersecurity. And what is actually risk assessment? So it can be roughly divided into 5 steps. So let's start with step 1. In step 1, you need to identify the scope of your assessment. So what exactly is being assessed? Is it an IT system, industrial process, some IoT product, or embedded device? Next, we need to understand the environment. So what is the intended use of our item? So what's the supply chain? Are there any regulatory requirements, and so on? And which is very, very important, you need to assemble a risk assessment team beforehand. So you need a moderator, or in other words, cybersecurity manager, you need cybersecurity engineer, you need also systems engineers, software and hardware engineers, because sometimes we see that our clients underestimate this problem and think that one cybersecurity engineer is not enough. Of course, this is not true. Risk assessment is a complex interdisciplinary work. So step 2. In step 2, we identify our critical assets, such data, systems, network, safety function, intellectual property, basically everything you want to secure in your organization. And after defining critical assets, we need to identify potential threats like cyber attacks, insider threats, supply chain vulnerabilities, and so on. In step 3, we need to estimate the likelihood of the potential attack. So for this, we use qualitative and quantitative methods to rate the probability of each scenario, and as a combination of potential threat impact and the corresponding attack feasibility, we define the corresponding cybersecurity risk. So what do we do with those risks? In step 4, we determine actions, what we actually do with them. So do we mitigate, transfer, accept, or avoid them? If we choose to mitigate a risk, we need to select corresponding controls like technical, organizational, physical, or processual. And finally, in step 5, after performing risk assessment and addressing cybersecurity risks, we need to perform continuous improvements. So this means you need to regularly monitor your risk environment and the effectiveness of your controls. You should also revisit and update your risk assessment whenever there are changes in the system or if there are any incidents. Okay, so now let us dive into each of 3 new EU regulations. The first one is NIS2. NIS2, as you already know, imposes cybersecurity requirements on different business sectors and now differentiates between essential and important sectors. So important ones did not exist in the first NIS version, and the difference between essential and important is, for example, that essential entities are subject to regular proactive supervision and can be monitored at any time, even without suspicion of non-compliance. On the other hand, important entities are supervised only after evidence or indication of non-compliance. And some enforcement actions like appointing a monitoring officer or suspending certifications apply only to essential entities. So the list of essential and important sectors with all subsectors is given in the regulatory itself. For essential businesses, we have like energy, transport, health, and so on. Basically, you can see all of them on this slide or look it up in the regulation itself. And on this slide, you see the important entities like digital providers, postal courier services, waste management, and so on. Again, the full list can be found in the document itself. So the following 2 slides are devoted to the key requirements of NIS2. So the first one, the very important one, is risk management. As we already know, it plays a huge role in cybersecurity, hence the importance of this requirement. Second, also very important for top management. I think, Stefan already also told us about that now upper management can be held liable for non-compliance. Third, there shall be incidents reporting process. Also, Stefan has already talked about this process, so that national CSIRT has to be notified if an incident takes place. And fourth, in case of incident, there shall be a process in place that deals with this crisis response. So basically, you have to be prepared for the incidents. Yeah. Moreover, the following also shall be implemented. Organizations shall assess the cybersecurity practices and resilience of their suppliers. Also, standards and certifications is an important requirement. So organizations are advised to use harmonized standards and certified information and communication technologies, which means that organizations shall be advised on the correct implementation of those standards, and certified products could obviously cost more. Of course, cybersecurity awareness and corresponding trainings are very important, and also are mandatory now. And finally, organizations shall maintain and update cybersecurity documentation, like compliance with policies, risk assessments, incident records, and so on. So let us have a look when NIS2 is expected to be in force. So actually, the deadline for every European country was at the end of last year to transpose the NIS2 into national law. However, as you can see from this slide, not every EU country has done it so far. And yeah, this chart might contain some old information, but I think that the picture is clear. And whenever NIS2 becomes a national law, all affected organizations get a deadline to get compliant with this law. As an example, we can consider my homeland, Latvia, where our government have already published the national law at the end of September last year. So the deadlines would be registration 1st of April, and appointment of cybersecurity manager and first self-assessment would be the 1st October of this year. So the next regulation I'm going to talk about is Cyber Resilient Act. As you already know, CRA sets mandatory cybersecurity requirements for products with digital elements. So those products can be divided into 4 and are divided by the CRA itself into 4 categories. However, there are only few requirements that are different based on the category. So first, let's go through the common ones, and then we talk about category-specific ones. So the most important CRA requirement is the security by design concept. So it means that cybersecurity for devices with digital element must be considered as not as add-on function, but as a part of development process. So which automatically means that cybersecurity engineers and managers still participate in the development process from the very early stages of it. Second, risk assessment. Also here, basically, it's mandatory in each regulation. Next one is security testing. It's not enough just to estimate the risk and reduce them. You also have to test it with diverse methods to make sure that the chosen controls do actually work. And the last important topic on this slide is vulnerabilities handling. So again, it's not enough to secure the product, release and forget about it. So you have to continuously, and I stress it, continuously monitor the product on the market and report vulnerabilities and incidents. Next requirement is security updates. So there shall be a process defined. Security updates for a product in the field for at least 5 years, or the expected use time, whichever is shorter. Technical documentation also shall be maintained. It applies also to SBOM, which stands for software bill of material, which is essentially a comprehensive list of all the software components, including open source and third-party libraries. And last but not the least, incidents and vulnerabilities reporting. Next slide is devoted to different product classes and corresponding class-specific compliance requirements. So first category is default products. Those are, for example, smart home devices, printers, different kind of players, and so on. So very, very simple devices. For this class of digital devices, a self-assessment is sufficient. However, in case of a cybersecurity incident, a company can be audited, and in case of non-compliance with CRA, the company can be fined. Second category is important to products of class 1. Sorry. These include password managers, network manager systems, smart doors, smart door locks, and so on. For such products, if for a given type of a product there exists a harmonized standard, like for example for AT devices or for automotive, then a self-based assessment is still sufficient. But if such standard does not exist, a third-party assessment is required. Third category is important products of class 2. These, for example, are industrial firewalls, tamper-resistant microprocessors, and microcontrollers. For this type of products, a mandatory assessment by a notified body is required. And fourth category is the so-called critical products, which, for example, are hardware security modules, smart cards, etc. For this type of products, a mandatory certification under the European Common Criteria Scheme is required. So what about timeline? So the regulation emerged at the end of last year. It is the time when EU member states begin to define national enforcement authorities and penalty frameworks. In comparison to NIS2, these are already there is already some deadlines since it's a regulation, and as you already know, so that December 11th, 2027 is the deadline where main obligations will come into force. And while deadlines may seem far off, the time to act actually is now, and these regulations aren't, of course, going away. A couple of words about the machinery regulation and corresponding requirements. This is the only regulation in our list that imposes not only cybersecurity but also safety requirements. But here are the main security requirements. So again, secure by design concept, risk assessment shall be in place. Also, software updates shall be considered in the risk assessment process. And also, according to the new regulation, all machines shall be equipped with an event logging system. And moreover, each organization shall sign an EU declaration of conformity, depending on type of machinery, and obtain one of the certifications, which you can see on the screen. Regarding the timeline, the first machinery regulation, which did not include cybersecurity, was published long time ago. But the new one emerged in 2023, and by January 14th, 2027, all manufacturers and suppliers shall be compliant with it. Okay, it was a lot of information. Let us recall all key requirements for all three new regulations. Risk assessment, as we already know, very important one, of course, mandatory for all three regulations. Secure by design is not part of NIS2, since this is requirement only for products, not for operational technologies. Then vulnerability handling, incident responding, supply chain security controls are mandatory in NIS2 and CRA, but not in machinery. Conformity assessments and audits mandatory by all three regulations. Product life cycle security support and updates given only in CRA. Management accountability and business continuity are NIS2 specific requirements. And product safety is part of machinery regulation, and SBOM is required for devices with a digital element. Okay, let's address some common misunderstandings we often hear from our clients. First, certified does not mean compliant. Many organizations assume that holding ISO 27001 or similar certification guarantees compliance with NIS2 or CRA. This is not true. However, these EU regulations introduce new specific obligation, which we have already discussed before. Mandatory incidents reporting, supply chain risk management, product life cycle security are not part of those certifications, and yeah, so this has to be added to your processes. Second, having an organization policy like ISMS or CSMS does not mean to be compliant with regulation. Regulations expect organizations to demonstrate that security measures are monitored and continuously improved. Third, it's misleading to assume that a standard supplier contract is sufficient. NIS2 and CRA demand documented supply chain security controls, risk assessment, and incidents response capabilities from the supplier. And fourth, existing documentation usually is not sufficient. Things like vulnerability handling procedures, SBOMs, technical security documentation are now mandatory with the new regulation, and very often organizations lack some of those due to immature security processes. And the last thing I want to talk about today is actually how to like a general roadmap, how to achieve full compliance with all regulations. So it's a 6-step process. We start with step 1. So everything always starts with a gap analysis. So you need to understand which regulations and which requirements from those apply to you. In second step, we need to implement the risk assessment, the cybersecurity foundation. It contains creation or refinement, if you already have something in place, of risk assessment process. But not only that, also interdisciplinary dependencies and new roles like cybersecurity manager, engineer, and others shall be defined. Third one, vulnerability management and incidents response process shall be established and truly documented. Step 4 is secure architecture and design, which that means that organizations must be sure that only state-of-the-art security controls and development processes are used. Also, everything shall be properly documented. In step 5, we need to establish secure supply chain, which means that, this process must be also properly documented for vendors. So requirements for vendors, for example, or cybersecurity agreements shall be in place. And step 4 is training and awareness programs. So it must be provided to the upper management and staff members. The content of such trainings will depend on the cybersecurity requirements defined in step 1. However, basic cybersecurity awareness trainings shall be provided to each employee. And after you are finished with this process, are you done? Of course, you are not done. It's just the beginning, and from now on, you must constantly monitor these processes and improve them. From now on, you must, as I already said, you must improve your processes and also provide new trainings and cybersecurity awareness trainings for your employees based on those improvements. And actually, our company can help you with that. So we have an extensive experience helping our clients adapting new standards and regulations. So from gap analysis to full process implementation, from consulting to process creation to project execution as part of our client's team or fully independently. So we have experience in different industries and extensive list of satisfied clients. Okay, I know this has been a lot of information, but I hope you can see that the clear and present need. Unfortunately, we cannot provide the list of satisfied customers in this webinar, but we will be happy to provide it upon request. Contact us directly and we will help you to navigate this complex landscape and protect your business. Thank you very much for your attention. And yeah, on the next slide, you can see our contacts. And from here on, I hand over to Preeti.
So good morning, good afternoon to all of you. I'm Preeti Khemani. I work for Infineon and I have experience in the security business for semiconductors for the past 20 years plus. In Infineon, I'm responsible for standards and regulations globally on specific topics like cybersecurity, compute, and connectivity. I help my company and our customers to make sense of these. So today, I would be providing insights on how we as a semiconductor provider for a broad range of sectors and applications, how we are preparing for a Cyber Resilience Act, and how we are we are enabling our customers to prepare right now. So why are we as Infineon looking at Cyber Resilience Act? Already I noticed during Ursula von der Leyen's State of Union address in 2021 that she mentioned a sentence like, if everything is connected, everything can be hacked. This is why we need European cyber defense policy, including common standards under the new Cyber Resilience Act. So this intrigued us and we wanted to investigate more, and we started to participate already with the Commission and other industry partners to understand on the regulation and what is coming there. As my colleagues, Stefan and Sergej have already mentioned, EU Cyber Resilience Act requires a declaration of conformity and is closely linked to the CE mark, which is needed for all products to have an EU declaration of conformity. With CRA, the Commission envisions that products with digital elements placed on the EU market, they will have fewer vulnerabilities and manufacturers will become responsible for cybersecurity throughout the product's life cycle. Therefore, this law is expected to improve transparency on security of hardware and software products, and the CE mark is expected to enable that. We all know since 1993, the abolition of borders within the EU Commission, within the European Union, has created a single market where free movement of goods is guaranteed, and any exporter to this market has to comply and has to affix this CE mark. So technical products are also since 1995 part of this, and that's where EU Cyber Resilience Act affects all of you who are providing digital products within the European single market. So what is EU Cyber Resilience Act? And I would not go through all the details, but let me do a quick recap for all of you so that you understand why we as semiconductor providers are looking at it super closely and why we are preparing for it. So within scope, we know that CRA addresses manufacturers, distributors, and importers. And this is for all products that are going to be sold within the EU single market, whether they are finished products or components. And as Sergio also mentioned, products need to be designed and developed with security in mind, and through the lifetime of that product, be able to mitigate vulnerabilities, and manufacturers have to manage potential risks that this product would be expected to be exposed to. So within the life cycle, this is not only at the point when a product is delivered, but through the whole lifetime, operational lifetime of the product. So manufacturers have to be prepared, and they need to start thinking about their processes. And coming from the security business, I'll share a few insights as to how you could do that for your company if you're not already doing it. Milestones, I would not go deep, but you know that this is going to come into effect within the next 2 years, and we have to start preparing now. So just to complete the picture on scope, some aspects are kept out of scope. So what we do understand is if there is a cyber security regulation already existing, your product will not be regulated twice on the same property. So if you have a medical device, then MDR2 is regulating it. If you have an automotive device, then the UNR 155 is regulating it. For marine equipment and civil aviation, we have a certification for security and safety. And so those regulate that. Whereas, as Sergio mentioned, NIS2 is coming in for cloud and SaaS. One of the questions that I get regularly coming from software security is, what about open source? Of course, if you have a non-commercial project which is open source, CRA is exempted. But if you're going to use parts of that open source project within your product, then it comes within scope. So you need to be mindful when you are reusing open source within your product. What does this mean from the product classification? Sergio already mentioned various classes that CRA is implying to. Since it's a very broad piece of legislation, CRA has 4 categories to cover this broad range of devices and digital systems. The default category is a catch-all category. So if there is, if your product is not listed in Class 1, Class 2, which is Annex 3 of Cyber Resilience Act, or in critical product category, which is Annex 4, then you can, and your product is a digital connected product, whether directly or indirectly to internet, you can just go with this baseline assumption that your product needs to fulfill some security outcomes. At this default category, right, for digital connected products and systems, based on the security risk that's expected for the system, please be prepared that security features would be required. So if you do not have the security outcomes that I'm going to share shortly already considered within your product, you will need to add that. Otherwise, you won't be able to affix the CE label from December 2027 onwards. So all products that provide security functionality thereby are considered in important Class 1, Class 2, and based on the criticality of the security functionality that the product is providing, they could be, ranging from important Class 1 up to critical class. And as mentioned before, it could be then you could do self-assessments if a harmonized standard is available, up to for critical class where an EU cybersecurity certification might be needed for your device. Some examples in Class 1, already elaborated by Sergio, but I would repeat here, is smart home devices with security functions, routers, modems, any connected toys, personal wearables, except for those that will fall under MDR2, any ID systems, biometric access control systems, readers, and so on and so forth. They would all be considered as products, hardware, software products, which are providing some security function to the application and therefore are categorized as Class 1. Any tamper-resistant microcontrollers or microprocessors, VPNs, firewalls, and so on, they provide a higher security function within the system. Therefore, they are categorized as class 2. While, as Sergey mentioned, any smart cards or similar devices, smart metering systems, gateways, which are providing advanced security systems, including crypto processing, they are an advanced crypto processing, they would be falling under critical product category, and they would require EU cybersecurity certification to be introduced in the EU market in a mandatory fashion. So as I was mentioning, based on the risk on your product and with the availability of a harmonized standard, you could either, do a self-assessment for default category or class 1, or you need to do a third-party assessment or go to a notified body. So the Cyber Resilience Act itself, since it is looking in a holistic manner how to build cybersecurity and cyber resilience for the products, there are 3 big parts which are there, which a manufacturer has to consider. These are product-related essentials, vulnerability handling, and information labeling. And I'm going to zoom into those because those are really, really important for us as semiconductor providers to provide solutions to you as device makers. So for product security requirements, and this would be true for all categories for CRA products, whether they are in default category or class 1, class 2, or critical, would be that an appropriate level of cybersecurity, product security is demonstrated with tests. These products should be delivered into the market without known vulnerabilities, and all the dependencies are documented, including software bill of material, so that in case the vulnerability is exploited, then there is a possibility to trace and fix those. Not everything that has been listed here as security outcomes is required. You need to evaluate carefully based on the risk assessment that you do for the foreseeable use and the security environment of your product on what security outcomes you need to fulfill. Security by default is the baseline, we would say, and that is the main thought process that a manufacturer needs to think as they are developing the product and as they are caring for the product through its lifetime. And for caring through for a product to be cared through its lifetime, enabling adequate security updates and patch mechanisms is key. To ensure that during its lifetime, your product is not exploited, authenticated access mechanisms become important, as well as mechanisms put in place to ensure confidentiality and integrity of data commands and programs need to be taken care of. And this is just the base, because then you need to look at the structure and the architecture of your product. So your product has to still provide availability of its essential functions, right? And this can be done by carefully thinking about how you would minimize data, how you would minimize the impact of your, so in case your device gets compromised, then how do you minimize impact of that? So that is really key. And we from the security industry know that since years now, that limiting attack surface is a key mechanism, how when you're thinking security by default, that and lifetime management of security of your devices, because millions of devices which do not have security today would need to add security into it. So as a device maker, you need to start thinking about how you would limit attack surface and reduce impact in case an incident happens. I keep saying this all the time, security is a moving target. So as a manufacturer and as a provider of a security device, you need to keep mindful. You have to be mindful of that and ensure that you have systems in place to record and monitor security relevant events. And in case it is required, there are mechanisms put in place to securely and permanently erase and transfer data and settings. So these are product essentials that your device needs to fulfill. And as a device maker, you need to be prepared to have processes for dealing with and reporting vulnerabilities. So as a supplier, you need a process for managing vulnerabilities. You need to have a platform for communicating vulnerabilities. You need to ensure that there is a way that automated security updates and security update information can solve this aspect of security updates is put in place. My recommendation would be, if it is technically possible, please separate your security updates from functionality updates. So if you have to push security updates to patch an incident that has been exploited on any software bill that you have, then separate that from your functionality so that at least availability of functions can be maintained. Reporting of security vulnerabilities, Stefan mentioned it, so did Sergio. 24 hours early warning, 72 hours detailed description, and maximum of 14 days to manage any damages that devices that have been exploited could incur is something that's expected. As we are going to make transparent what the security properties of a product is, and we're going to introduce it in the market, there are some information that is requested. So some information that your device needs to carry: manufacturer of the product, central point of contact, what are the instructions for installing security updates, what are the instructions for disabling automatic security updates. And all of this is possible if you have a very clear idea what is the intended use of your product and you communicate that, so that any misuse of the environment, of its operational environment or the intended use can be circumvented by the users of your devices. Additional information that would be needed is things like duration and type of support period that you would be giving as a manufacturer. Any instructions you would have for secure commissioning, decommissioning, or use of the product so that it stays cyber resilient through its lifetime. And if you can make it publicly available, then location of SPOM should also be included within your product. So these are some very basic CRA requirements and documentations that have been codified in the law. Here is a very short guide. And for details, both Stefan and Sergey mentioned it. So as a manufacturer, you do not need a license to put a CE label on your product, but you do need to determine whether your product you will be assessing by yourself or you would need support from TÜV or a similar notified body. And you need to put together a technical dossier which includes security testing. Only then you are able to draft and sign the EU Declaration of Conformity document and affix the CE label. So this is super important when you are looking at the CE labeling for your product, that you not only consider safety, which has been the baseline up till now, but also from December onwards, it would be security. So at Infineon, what we have been doing is we have been very closely monitoring and we have been contributing within the European norms. And here I would like to explain a little bit the whole concept of harmonized standards, because with Cyber Resilience Act, we are expecting 41 deliverables that the EU Commission has requested. And there would be around 2 sets of process-related harmonized norms, and there would be 13 sets of horizontal product-related harmonized norms. And as I mentioned, even for class 1, if there is a harmonized standard available, even if it's in a vertical, then there is a possibility for you as a supplier and for you as a provider of that product to do a self-test. So a crucial basis for the creation of this by the European Standard Organization is the risk analysis, which is contained within such a harmonized norm, which is performed for products within the scope of the standard, and it provides a manufacturer with the minimum requirement that needs to be met, right? So the manufacturers who fully apply these standards for conformity can benefit from the so-called presumption of conformity and then can go ahead with a self-assessment. But if an harmonized standard is not available, and this is key in the case of the next 2 years, at least for Cyber Resilience Act, then you should consider, and we would be considering as well, commissioning a notified body, so like TÜV, to be able to help you with coming up to speed with the Cyber Resilience Act. So just as a summary, there are some horizontal standards that are being done. So within Senelec JTC 13, the horizontal process and product standards are being standardized. And there are some vertical standards. Like here are a couple of examples for ID management systems in TC 224, for security information systems in TC 65X. And for semiconductors, Infineon has been leading such an effort in Senelec TC 47X. So we have been chairing Senelec TC 47X because we think Cyber Resilience Act is really going to have a global impact. And we want to ensure that the vertical, which is semiconductors, they are prepared adequately to comply with the law. There are 3 working groups where we are looking at all devices, microcontrollers, and secure elements and smart card similar devices, which need to comply with Cyber Resilience Act, important or critical class. There is also additional work which is happening in JTC 13 Working Group 6 on smart metering gateways. And for all the work that we are doing in the semiconductor standards for Cyber Resilience Act, we are building liaisons. So we are not doing that in isolation. We are building liaisons with JTC 13, where all the horizontal work is going on, with ENISA, where the certification work is going in, and also with industry platforms like Global Platform and Eurosmart, where I'm personally involved in, where we are looking at how do we consolidate and we ensure that these harmonized standards, they talk to each other and they can reuse what is already existing. Since we are so deeply involved in the standardization work, I believe we are best suited for you to become partners with and to build your cyber resilience and build this and avoid any non-compliance that you would need to incur in case you don't comply with the law. So how can we help you do that? I want to give you deep insights into how Infineon is preparing for Cyber Resilience Act and how we are enabling our customers comply with it, and how we are hand-holding our customers and joining them through their compliance journey from now until the lifetime of their devices. A lot of the security outcomes that are required, as I was explaining earlier, through the whole, all the ranges, whether it's from default category right up to the critical category, the security outcomes that are required, we are as Infineon from a security controllers already providing that function for many, many years for certain applications. The only difference for us would be that those were voluntary schemes or schemes that were mandated by a certain industry. Now EU Commission is mandating it across all devices that are connected and digital. So we can make use of all this immense expertise that we have. So we already have products that are enabling security by default for design and development. We have security functions which are already common criteria and PSS certified, CISIP certified. We have IoT standards that our products comply with. As Sergey was mentioning, whether it is in the consumer space for EN 303645, or it's in the industrial space with IEC 62443. Or the new radio equipment directive harmonized standard 18031 as well. We have 20 years of experience of manufacturing common criteria certified products. So we know how manufacturing with security by default looks like. Our strong security culture has been able to, in the past, accommodate new requirements, new security targets that our products were exposed to even in the field. And our products are key in providing, since years, protection against unauthorized access. And if you are considering to bring that security outcome, I would strongly recommend to look at our products. We know how our products can help you build limit attack surfaces. We have already built in secure debug interfaces. We have passive security features. So if you have built in our products itself limit their security attack interface. So you can encapsulate your security functions within our products, for example. And we have a strong process where we can enable adequate security updates for your products. And we provide security updates for our own products. We have processes in place since years where our security business continuity and our product security incidents response teams are geared together, and we know how to manage any incidents that happen in the field. We support ourselves and our customers overcome and reliably take care of such incidents in the field. So in a very concrete step-by-step approach, how am I so confident and why do I claim that we are the best partners for you? Because we are looking at this uncertain time where you are perhaps wondering, the harmonized standards are not there, so how are you going to get compliance? I'm trying to explain to you here now how we at Infineon are already working in the standards, how our products since years have already been providing security, and what we are doing now to look at this moving target for cyber resilience, bring compliance for our products, and handhold our customers through their compliance journey to cyber resilience. So what we are doing is our teams that are engaged in standards working very closely with the development teams. We are translating all the functional requirements that are being drafted and defined and steering it as they are being steered within the technical regulation as well, so that our security products can provide security by default, can continue to securely boot the device by verifying all software firmware as trusted, and enable security software updates. These are just a few examples, but I will come shortly and give you some more details. Our portfolio, and I'm going to share a snapshot of our portfolio, is continuously monitored for compliance with the global regulations that we see, including Cyber Resilience Act. And we observe that all roadmap items, they not only meet the minimum technical requirements, but they exceed them. I'm going to introduce you our EPC brand, where all regulatory requirements are extending the PSA level certification as well. Our product security incidents response team charter has been extended for CRA. And so we are very well capable to identify and document dependencies of our own SPOM, and be able to support you as customers in case there are vulnerabilities and incidents. We have in-house competence to test security, and we have strong partner network with TÜV and other notified bodies to test security of digital products. And we have processes in place to publicly disclose vulnerabilities, patches, and fix them. Last but not least, we have put out multiple resources on CRA, so that, and multiple training, customer and distributor training webinars, this being one of them. And we have codified within our app notes, labeling guidance that manufacturers need to take care when they are complying and they are going for CE labeling. We have a product mapping table for global security requirements, not only for CRA, so that you as a manufacturer can, as a device manufacturer or system integrator, can already look at our products and see if you have to build those in to comply with these global regulations. Our Infineon products, we have a broad portfolio of security solutions that you can choose from. These are from entry-level microcontrollers right up to mid-end high performance 32-bit ARM Cortex microcontrollers to crossover products. Our secure elements, they are also built from turnkey products. We have programmable solutions, and we have provisioning flexibility through the lifetime of your product. We enable late binding and similar security principles that can help you bring security as your products you're deploying in the field as well. So our broad range of applications that our products fulfill, whether it's consumer IoT, wireless connected products, industrial products, authentication products, or embedded PCs, mobile computing products, and beyond, they all are within the scope of Cyber Resilience Act. And our products already are designed into some of these very key, crucial product sectors. We have our key product families, PSOC, AROC, XMC. I want to call out our Optega family and our Sicora family of security controllers as well. All of these broad security solutions that we have from Infineon can enable you to build security. We have launched our Edge Protect family singularly with this point in mind that there are global regulations, and our customers need to build security in a broad range of devices. So you could start with our Edge Protect family, which goes from EPC1 right up to EPC4. And the flexibility we provide is with MCU, with or without secure element, we make the choice very easy for our customers. The concrete steps I would ask you to do is choose the best fitting piece of microcontroller, know what security functions you need to extend your system with based on the risk exposure of the foreseeable use of your product, and then extend that with a discrete secure element. Our discrete secure elements work in tandem with all of our PSOCs. And adding such a discrete secure element can really simplify manufacturing and improve efficiency for your product and save costs down the line when you have to maintain the security integrity of your product through its lifetime. So I strongly recommend to look at the right combination of a microcontroller and discrete secure element to enable a system design for yourself for fulfilling the CRM requirements. And here I would like to deep dive into a little bit the security features that our EPC range of products are providing. So there are some cryptographic measures that you need to introduce as security outcomes for even for default category if your product is exposed to non-cyber resilient environment. Secure boot, secure firmware updates are another aspects, especially secure firmware updates, because you need to make some memory considerations. If you have to do a secure firmware update and maintain it through the lifetime of the product, then what kind of memory do you need? Perhaps you need to think about higher memory sizes. You need to look at process isolation. You need to look at compliance evidence that we can provide for all our products. You need to look at security fault management systems, which our higher end products provide. And as you can see, we have even high security anti-cloning and device identity protection. We have late stage binding that I was mentioning earlier. We have some very key security agility, crypto agility aspects for our products like PQC. We enable our products with FIPS, TPM. So if there is any cross use of your products across different regions, you can build not only cyber resilience for EU Commission, but also you can build it for US or for other countries within Asia. So to, in a nutshell, summarize, if you pick up the right combination of MCU and discrete secure element, you can, in a very flexible manner, build your system ready for cyber resilience with our products. So which products am I really talking about? And here I'll give you a snapshot of our roadmap as it is developed today. So our microcontroller and connectivity roadmap is what I'm going to share with you. For consumer IoT, we have already available our PSOC 4, PSOC 6, and in development, we are shortly going to release our PSOC 8, and we have a long roadmap tail for this. For industrial MCUs, we already have our XMC since years and a PSOC Control 3. And we are going to go on and build our PSOC Control family to also high performance timers and analog features. In addition to our microcontrollers, we have our Wi-Fi and combo with MCUs and also Wi-Fi combo products. And as what I want to share with you is, if you have any wireless needs, you don't need to go with two different products. You can use a combined product from us and build security because we are building it through our entire portfolio. And same as with our BLE modules. To deep dive into one specific example, and here I'm going to use our PSOC Control as an example because this product goes through a broad range of sectors that I was mentioning earlier. So our PSOC Control products, we are designing into industrial automation, smart homes, consumer home appliances, renewals, as well as servers and data centers. And this product is already our our lead product, I would say, which is based on ARM Cortex-M33, microcontroller with up to 180 megahertz, It's a real-time controller for motor and power conversion solutions. It is scalable and the compatible portfolio, which features with packages and your needs. It has many differentiating controller peripherals, as well as it takes care of security. So it has EPC2 security, and our performant versions of PSOC control is going to look at higher security levels as well, depending on what you need. And it is also for safety. It has the SIL2 compliant safety libraries. So this is an example, but we have similar for our other PSOC family control products as well. Not only do we provide products, we also provide one ecosystem platform for comprehensive development. And what I mean by that is we have our Modus Toolbox. It is a single turnkey solution for complete development flow. It's a best-in-class ecosystem to support development. So if you have a product which needs a seamless migration of your solution to Infineon solution, that is what Modus Toolbox provides. It has a community with it. It provides a software set of libraries. It provides tools. It gives a quick start GUI, graphical user interface. You can select the inverter, whether it's a gate driver or a topology. You can select a microcontroller. You can configure the embedded software and so on and so forth. So basically, if you use this one platform, you can already start and building our controllers that I was mentioning earlier into your system. So we are getting many frequently asked questions, but in lieu of time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to breeze through these today, and you're free to ask more questions if you want, and then I would like to recap. Does your product fall under this regulation? If your device is not connected and it's an analog device, no, it does not fall under CRA. But if your device is connected over the air, yes, there is a risk for cybersecurity, so consider it for CE marking. Is your product a default category? If it is, for example, memory stick, yes, that would be default category because it's not listed in class 1, neither in NX4 nor in NX3. But if you have a washing machine, for example, with a smart home connection, and that device is connected remotely, and cyber attacks can be increased because it is having some data on it, then yes, that could be, that would not fall under default category, but it would fall under important. Does my product fall under CRA important category? If it's a surveillance camera, for example, with VPN, the device is connected, the device provides security functionality and collects personal data. Yes, it falls under CRA important class. But if you have, for example, if you develop a heart pacemaker, no, it does not fall under CRA because that is explicitly called out. It's a medical product, other regulations are in place, such as MDR2, so it will fall under that regulation, not under CRA important, even though it is a product which provides security functions. Another question that I typically get is, which microcontroller components are affected? Typically, purchasing managers ask that. If your microcontroller is without a security function, if your microelectronic is without a security function, go with this mindset. By default, it will fall under the default category because it's a digital product and it's a connected product. So it needs to fulfill security outcomes at the device level. If your microprocessor is with, or microelectronic is with a security related function, then you need to ensure that the microprocessor that you have, it falls under important category depending on the risk. So you then will please categorize it in either class 1 or class 2 based on whether you have tamper resistance or not. If you have a product which is a smart card or a similar device or a secure element, which is providing critical security function to the application or to the device, then an EU cybersecurity certification would be needed. It falls under CRA critical category. So in a nutshell, these are frequently asked questions that we get, and here are our answers. Why should you care now? And I would like to really spend some time to talk to you about this because typically we have seen this with radio equipment. Many device makers waited too long to care for it. If a manufacturer builds a device that falls under the default category, the essential requirements can be applied through a self-assessment procedure, as I was explaining earlier, but only if an harmonized EU norm is available. Unfortunately, these norms are not ready yet and are still in development. And finalization of these norms is expected to take some time to be completed by the end of 2027, which will, of course, provide clarity on the specific product-related requirements. Until then, I would request you to consider working closely with us because it could be meaningful and use our products to make a flexible solution for yourself. We are prepared, as I was sharing with you, we are driving standardization work, and we also have a scalable, flexible security solution portfolio. Preparing in advance for Cyber Resilience Act is going to be helpful for you, and preparing for it will be a good idea because it would likely involve significant changes in the way you are designing, developing, and testing your product. Within the period of 2 to 3 years, and it is a reasonable period if you start now, you'll need to adapt to new requirements. You need to take concrete steps now. You need to review your current product processes, your bill of material, consider adding security to your bill of material, identify areas that need to comply with CRA, develop security testing procedures or commission testing houses to do third-party testing for you and validation procedures for your products. You need to set up a cybersecurity risk management and a cyber resilience management process, incidents management process. So I would say do not wait. Collaborate with suppliers and partners like us to enable that the entire supply chain, including third-party software, products and host libraries are compliant with CRA early on than later. To recap and to summarize, CRA aims to safeguard consumers and businesses buying and using products or software with digital components. Most of the cyber resilience security requirements are still in development, but these, I believe, will have profound effect globally once they come into force. Infineon is one of the semiconductor companies that is best positioned with its leadership in security since 20 plus years to deal with this uncertainty. We are actively involved in CRA standardization and have a broad portfolio of security products covering integrated to discrete security. PSOC, Aeroc, Optiga, and Secora are some of the products that I can call out, but we also have more security microcontrollers like Travio and Aurix in our portfolio, which can enable this as well. For more resources, I would encourage you to visit our CRA website. And for more FAQs, we will be consistently updating our website, and we'll be putting in more resources for you to make this compliance journey easier for you. If you still have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is there, or my colleague Detlef, who is also supporting me in this, and his email address is also there. With this, Bernd, I hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Preeti. Oh, I'm hanging with my computer. Thank you very much. We're a little bit over the time, so I will go on very quickly and one moment, and we'll skip some message from my side. So the role of the distributor, just one moment, my computer is giving me some messages. Oh, I have a computer bug. I'm sorry, but okay, my mouse is hanging around. I only give you some messages. So we, as at Rutronik, we have established a workforce who is handling also the different criteria we as a distributor, as a retailer, have to take care about. Only as a message, for example, if we do a firmware update on the microcontrollers or other components, then we are a supplier and not only the retailer or importer anymore. So therefore, we have a lot of homework to do in the background. But nevertheless, I will skip this because we are a lot of over the time. Also, the key takeaways. We will send out, I think at Monday next week, we will send out you all the presentations. And I think then you can read all the files again. So let me skip this. And also regarding the original text of the laws, the links will be provided as well on Monday. On the questions, there was only the question if you get the slides. Yes, you will get the slides. We will also publish a recording of the session for the case you would like to forward it to colleagues of your organization or some friends of you or whatever. There is a question: why is 62443 missing at embedded systems?
I think it's a question for me.
Okay.
I can briefly answer that one. So of course it applies also to embedded systems, but only in the industrial sense. And in my slides, I just wanted to stress out that basically 62443 is aimed at industrial cybersecurity.
Okay, thank you. The next question is what are smart metering systems mentioned in the critical products of CIR from Infineon? I think I can answer this because the smart metering systems, they need to be packed very, very secure. So this is a very special application, smart metering products. But Preeti, if you would like to answer this.
Yes, I would like to mention this because this has been explicitly called out in the critical product section of CRA. Smart metering systems and gateways with advanced security functions, especially those that are connected to critical infrastructure, even if they are in the consumer space, they have to fulfill additional requirements in terms of having EU cybersecurity certifications. So higher security levels, EAL levels in common criteria terms need to be considered for smart metering systems because they are explicitly listed in Annex 4 of CRA and are expected to be critical for as a security function, so critical security function of as a device.
Can you also explain how open source software impacts on the CIA?
Yes, so in case you use open source software in your commercial product, then you need to comply with the CRA law for the part you integrate in your product. And you need to also then maintain that over the lifetime of your lifetime of operation of your product, or minimum of 5 years.
Okay, thank you very much. So at the very end, I have to give you just the hint that on the 7th June, we will do a webinar regarding Triax together with our supplier Littlefuse. So if this could be interesting for you, feel free to register on it. We will provide the link next week, or you will find it on the homepage under events as well. So we would be happy to welcome you again for this webinar. But due to the fact that we are a lot of over the time, we will skip the rest and provide it next week by email. So then, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it, and there was some information for you, which was appreciated. Okay, wish you all a good day. Thank you very much. Bye bye.